Okay, now I don't expect too many people to understand what I mean here by there's no need for an identity. Identities are kind of like extra baggage. It's kind of like the thing that we think that we have to be in order to fit in or look like we're someone or look like we're something. And here's what I would say to everybody. Here's why an identity is irrelevant. It's completely irrelevant to anything in life. Because what you are today, you're not going to be tomorrow. What I was 2 weeks ago is not what I am today. So me having an identity is just, it's kind of like extra baggage. It's just an ideal. It's a ideology kind of. And I think this is why so many of us, we get into the things that we get into is because we all identify with something. And the only way that I can see somebody or something having an identity is if you're like a car salesman and you sell cars and you call yourself a car salesman because that's what you do. You sell cars for a living. Or you call yourself a tattoo artist. But that doesn't define who you are as a person. It's just something that you do from time to time because that's what you do. It doesn't make you who you are. Like, okay, I'm a tattoo artist and I do tattoos. Then everybody expects you to always, see, this is where the expectations come in. Then everybody expects you to be the tattoo guy all the time. Oh, that's the tattoo guy, you know? And no, he's just someone that likes doing tattoos or does tattoos for a living. And that's what he does from time to time. It's like, this is why I named my channel SBN Resonate. This is why I named myself Somebody But Nobody Resonate. Because everything has a polar opposite. Everything in this life, and I'm talking about everything, is a contradiction. There is hot and cold. There is black and white. There is up and down. There is winter. There is summer. There is the sky. There is the ground. Everything is an opposite or a polar opposite, and we are never just one thing. Never. We're never just one thing. And what I see, this is why individualism is starting to be a lost cause, because everyone wants to identify with either, quote, negative things or positive things. Everybody either wants to be charismatic or miserable and hate everything. You understand what I'm saying here? And this is why there's something that Woody Allen said. I was just watching a special on him, and he said, if there is any club that would invite me, I wouldn't go into that club. I would never join a club that would invite me, because what that's saying is, oh, this is who you are, right? So come to our club because you say that you're this thing. And it's just, it's everywhere. I see this everywhere. I see people giving themselves these names, that they give themselves these identities, and they call themselves things when you're not that all the time. It's just something that you might be here and there. And then you're something else. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're not always sad. How can you call yourself a sad person? You're not always sad. You have days where you might be joyful, or you might be excited about something, or, you know, you go and get an ice cream cone and you're happy about eating the ice cream cone, but yet that it's a ball of sugar that's no good for you. So yet again, it's the contradiction that's there. It's the polar opposite of everything. Yes, it's a tasty ice cream raspberry cone that you're eating and you're enjoying, yet it's a big, huge ball of sugar that's no good for you. But people still ain't listening. They're still not getting this. And look at what happens when we use identities and ideologies and labeling. Labels is our problem. This is our problem. This is mankind's problem, is that we label everyone. We label everything. We expect people to be a certain type of way, and we judge them, and we put a label to them, and we expect them to be what we expect them to be. And then we say, oh, why did you do what you did? Why are you being the way you're being? How could you do that? How could you do this thing? Well, you didn't do that before. It's like, no, I didn't. I'm never going to do what people expect me to do. I'm never going to be what people expect me to be. Never. It's never gonna happen. Never. And I'm never ever going to do what other people want me to do. I'm a rebel. I am a rebel. But then at the same time, I understand not to take that too far. I understand not to take my rebellion to the max level, because I know that there's trouble there, you see? The polar opposite, you see? The polar opposite thing going. It's like, yes, basically it's like, do as much as you can and do what you want to do. Just do it with as little reckless abandon as you possibly can, and be responsible for yourself and think rationally for yourself. And then you don't need an identity. You don't need to categorize yourself into something and all that. And listen, don't get me wrong. I like certain symbols. I like drawing certain things that I draw. But do you know why I draw surreal, abstract art? Because it's not a symbol. It's not, I don't want to say scribblings, but it's just me drawing weird shapes and different things. I don't try to draw symbols that man has used in history. I don't try to draw labels. Now, you might look at my SBN symbol and say, oh, well, that's a label. That's a symbol. You're identifying yourself as something. And no, I'm not. I'm not identifying myself as something. And I don't have an identity. I don't have any identity at all. Not at all. But yet, so many of us, you'll say, well, what do you identify with? What is your identity? Who are you? How many person will say, I don't have an identity? I don't know who I am, because whatever I am, when I am, that is what I am. And that's what I wrote in my bio on Instagram. I am that I am, when I am, what I am. You know, and I'm telling you, this is our problem. But people They're not listening. They're still not listening. And then they wonder why all these troubles and all these sufferings and pains and miseries. Now there's other reasons why that can be happening for some people. I'm not saying it's not just one thing. You see, when you talk about things, it's not just one category. When you talk about suffering, there are many different categories to it. There are many different paths that people, the reasons why it's happening, or why it has happened, or things to do to prevent it, or the reason that it came about. There's so many different pathways and stuff. And it's just so many of us are so narrow-minded. We only think one way about something. You know, right away when we think of, like I said, you think of a tattoo artist. All that you think of, oh, well, he's some guy that does tattoos. He has a tattoo shop and he likes to do tattoos. That's what you'll think of if you say that guy's a tattoo artist. But you're not thinking that he probably has a family. He might be a drug addict. I don't know. He might be an artist too. He might draw. He might be, when he's not tattooing, he might be at some job, or he might do something else. See, we don't think of the other thing. We don't ever think of the polar opposite when you say, oh my goodness, this thing is horrible. But yet we don't see that even though something may be horrible and bad, we're never looking at the other side of it. And listen, like I said before, y'all, I agree with a lot of stuff that y'all say, and I understand. I know what hell is like, and I know what a piece of heaven is like. I have been there, done it. I know about it. I've been in so many different types of things, and I know what people talk about. But all that I hear is every channel, every person, and I'm not downing you, and I'm not giving you credit. I'm not doing either or, but we're all talking about just one thing. We're all just talking about how bad life is, or how good life is, or we're talking about how we're suffering and we're going through this pain and life sucks and everything is just bad. But then we don't give credit the good things. Then we don't look at the opposite of that. We don't say, okay, well, yes, even though this is going on, well, it's not all bad. There's some good too. There's some things that you get joy from. There's some things that you're into that you may like. You know, you smile and you frown. It's like, there's this saying that says, and I'm not going to say where it's from because it doesn't matter where it's from, but it says, in those days, people will call good bad and they will call bad good. And that's kind of where we're at in this day and age. Things that are good, people are calling it bad. And things that are bad, people are calling good. This is how narrow-minded and unintelligent and idiotic and foolish and stupid a lot of us have become. And I don't like calling this stuff out, but there is a time for confrontation too. And nobody wants to confront anything or anyone anymore. Nobody wants to confront things anymore. And no, none of us like it. I don't like confronting things. And I had to, just the last, over a week ago or so, I had to confront something that I wasn't confronting for a very long time. And I confronted it, and it helped me a lot. It loosened the burden of the gorilla on my shoulders. It took a lot of that weight off of my back, and I feel lighter. I feel better. And my conscience is more clear now that I actually did what was bothering me. I confronted the thing that was bothering me. And I know that's off topic from talking about identity, but this is why this all plays a part with why a lot of these things are happening, and you feel stuck, and we get stuck, and we feel like we can't do anything different because we keep identifying ourselves with all of the bad shit, all of the things that we are so used to talking about. We keep identifying with that one thing, and then we wonder why it keeps going the way that it keeps going for us. We wonder why this keeps happening. If you can think and you're intelligent, you'll know what I'm talking about. If you are an individual thinker, if you are uniquely an individualist and you're unique, you will understand what I'm talking about. If you don't understand, then you're probably someone that still thinks that you need an identity. You still think that you need to be something for other people. You still think every day you wake up, I've got to put on this identity mask and facade. I have to have this charisma. I have to have my pride. I have to have, my tough guy look. I have to act this way for people, and I can't let that down. I can't look vulnerable. I can't look the opposite way. Did you see that? I can't look the opposite way because then I'll look weak. I'll look like I'm less of a human. I'll look like I'm lower than these people. And we're constantly comparing and judging and all these things. But here's the thing. Even though I say don't compare, you have to realize that you're comparing all the time. And that's what I mean. Like, if you have ever watched Apocalypse Now, Colonel Kurtz, even though he was, he went kind of mad and he was killing people and doing the things he was doing, that movie can teach you something about life. He says in the one part, I need men that can use their primordial instincts, but yet have mercy, or the opposite when the time is right. I need primordial men that will use their instincts, but at the same time be able to be merciful and to be I don't know the exact word that he used, but if you never watched that movie, watch it a couple times if you have to before you understand contradictions, before you understand that everything has a polar opposite. Nothing is as it seems. Listen, y'all. Every single one of us, we have been lied to. We have been tricked. We have been fooled. These charismatic idiots have been putting on the facade and mask, and they have been lying to you your whole life. And they have been saying, if you just do this, if you get my book, if you get what I'm telling you to do and how to be, you will be this way, and you will get this thing, and you will become rich. And I'm telling you, you will have pleasures beyond whatever you can think, and you will have money coming to you like no other, whatever, and all this shit that they say. They are a lie. They are a lie. We call people charismatic. Like we call Jim Carrey charismatic. Jim Carrey, see, that's an identity that we're giving to him. Jim Carrey is not charismatic. Jim Carrey is Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey was not acting in those movies most of the time. Jim Carrey was actually being what Jim Carrey was. Even though he might have been playing a part in a movie, he didn't have to be charismatic. That's who Jim Carrey was. I don't need to be charismatic for you. I don't need to put on a mask. Do you want to get rich today? Do you want to be like me and get buff and get all the women? Do you want to get cash? Do you want to rule the world and be a tough man? I don't need to put on that mask and facade for anybody. When I'm feeling down and out, like I said, I will tell you that I'm feeling a certain kind of way. And today, I kind of did. Today was just one of them days. It wasn't like the last couple days that I've been having. I didn't have that same energy. I didn't have that same punch in my system. And it is what it is. It is what it is. And I'm calling it out for what it is. And it happened. And it's over. But yet, here I am now. Right now, speaking to you. I don't have to be anything. I don't have to be anyone. I don't have to put on anything for you watching, the world, my family, friends, anybody. I don't have to be anything other than what I am going to be right now. I don't have to be an identity. I don't have to identify with something. And so many people don't get this because there's so few people that are talking about this. And then you probably say, okay, you're saying all these things. What now? What now? See, that's the problem. That is the very problem, is if we have that kind of attitude. Okay, you're saying that, so what? What now? All right, well, you're saying all this stuff. Well, then what do I do about it then? If you don't want to do nothing, then don't do nothing. If you have a passion for something, then do that thing you're passionate for. If you want to write a book, write a book. If you want to jog, go and jog. Whatever you want to do, do it. Just for yourself, for the sake of yourself and your health. Do it with as least reckless abandon and be responsible for yourself. And if all these bad things are happening to you and you're someone that's unhealthy or you're having a lot of these problems, you did that to yourself. Don't we realize this, that these things that we got ourselves into and the reason why we are the way we are, we did these things to ourselves, y'all. It is not the world's problem. It is not the world's fault. It is not other people's fault. I'm trying to teach people a valuable lesson here. But like I said, the moment that you force things upon people and you say, hey, look, this is the way it is and stuff, people will run from you. When you want to confront things, people will run from you. When you actually get real, most people, I'm saying most people, not everybody, but most people will run from you because they don't want to do it for themselves. That's all it comes down to. You either want to do or you don't want to do something. There is no in between. And then while doing those things, realize that there are contradictions, there are polar opposites. We are both good and bad. So how can we judge good people or judge bad people when we are both things? And then there's something that other people say too. These are just things that I hear that intelligent people will understand, but people that don't understand won't understand. But when you say something like, if you have writer's block, like there's these commercials for music and stuff saying, if you have writer's block, these techniques and these chords and this song and this music and these strings and whatever I put together will help you get over writer's block. No, writer's block means it is not time for you to write something. It's not coming natural to you, so don't do it if it's not the time to do it. If you do force something, then what does that say? If you're forcing it, if you're trying to make it work, if you're trying to make it happen, you can't try to do something. If you're trying to do it, it's not real. It's fake. It's forced. It's not genuine. It's not something genuine. It's real. Like people would say, oh, I have writer's block. No, it's just not time for you to write something. If you say, I got beat block with music. No, it's just not the right time. It has not been ordained to happen. And you can't force art. You can't force music. You can't force life. This is why I say that there's so much fakery and there's so much bullshit and there's so much phony, charismatic, get this program, get these chords so your music can sound better. There's so much of this phony baloney nonsense going out around here, and people are just eating it up like tasty cakes. People are just look, one after the other, and their stomachs are blown up. They're freaking, it's just ridiculous. It's completely ridiculous. And it's like, if you don't have a passion for it, if there's not something in you driving you, and you can use how you feel when you're in them bad times and you're depressed or you're in a bad situation or something, you can use those times to do the polar opposite things when the time is right. And that's what I did. I used the deep, dark depression I was in. I used when I was at the bottom of the barrel. I used that to be my flame, to be my passion, to be that burning thing in me that said, okay, I gotta do something and I will do something. Not say, I'm gonna try to. I want to do this. You know, everybody says things like, I want to quit smoking cigarettes. No, you can't want or try. You either say, I am done, or you're not done. It's as simple as that. There's no excuses. People say, I want to get healthy, but I just can't stop eating this. I can't stop eating fast food, and I can't stop eating donuts and all this stuff. That's because you really don't want to stop. You really don't want to change what you are doing. Plain and simple. Let's stop making excuses here. I'm tired of the excuses that I hear from mankind and people like me. I was feeling bad. I woke up feeling a little physically bad. I had an upset stomach. I slept too long, and I said, you know what? Quit making excuses. Go out, take a walk, do a video. And I did it. I didn't make excuses. I just went and did it. But this all goes into the message of identity. We all think that we have to live up to the standards of what we give to ourselves. And it's ridiculous. Stop putting yourself in them situations. And when like I said before, when I say you and I say them and I say those people and everybody, I'm talking about myself too. I'm not just talking to you or them or those people or the world. I'm talking to myself when I say these things. So, you know, it's like, but yet that's another thing. So many of us, we use words like you, them, they, the world, my family, my friends. We're using every single adjective or word, noun, whatever you call they, them, you. We're using every single word but me. I am the reason that this is happening. I did this to me. See, this is what nobody wants to do. Nobody wants to confront themselves. Nobody. Nobody. And then we wonder why we have so many problems and we keep talking about the things we're talking about, even though I realize that yet again, this is the opposite going on here. Even though I realize that we have to talk about these things and we have to vent them and we have to express them because that's what you may actually be thinking. But you're putting yourself in that place that you're thinking about. It's like I said, it's a habit. It's a habit that we do. I know better than most people how this is. And that's why I talk about it. And that's, like I said, that's why I named myself Somebody But Nobody. It's a weird name, but I don't care if it's weird. It's not about what the name sounds like. It's a statement. It's a statement saying that we are contradictions. We are both good, bad, pretty, ugly, everything, everything. And how can we judge? How can we give ourselves a label? How can we identify as anything when we are all everything? That basically sums up the whole spiel. It basically sums up everything right there, is that we are everything, but yet so many of us don't want to admit that we are no better than Hitler and we're no worse than Hitler. We're no better than Vladimir Putin and we're no worse than Vladimir Putin. Even though he did some horrible stuff and they did some horrible stuff. When we say they, we, them, basically all we're doing is we're talking about ourselves. We're capable of those same exact things. And I know not a lot of us did those types of things. And I don't want people to do those types of things. I don't want people to go to that extreme. And I don't want people to get to that extreme low either. That's why I do the videos I do. Who is going to be the intermediator? Who is going to be the equalizer? Who is going to be the balanced scales here in the conflict? In this thing that's going on? Who's going to be that person? Because I don't see anybody. I don't hear anybody doing this out here at all. I don't hear anybody doing, and I'm not boasting or being arrogant or bragging. I'm not being either or, but I'm just saying nobody is doing this. Nobody is talking about these kinds of topics that I am. But yet it's the least heard. It's the least recognized. It's the least popular. Popularity, all that's bullshit too. You know, just because someone like Keanu Reeves is famous and a star, he takes the bus. He hangs out with poor people. He does things that the average person does. See, that's how I would be. If something ever happened to where I would, quote, blow up or be famous or become someone, even though I know that's not the case, I would be doing the same things that I am doing, and I would be giving. If I had more, I would give more. You see,